You don't need a whole lot of money to get started either in real estate or with infinite banking.
The cost of procrastination is way more expensive than getting a policy started or even buying your first property that you can convert into an investment property and then leverage that money and that same asset multiple times.
I had opened a whole life policy, which I had no idea of how it worked or how it really worked or how it should work. I didn't know I could fund a policy, how the policy should really work, or if it was even set up the right way. At that age, I knew I wanted more. A few years later, when I had like $10,000, $12,000, and I didn't know what to do with it, so I had it sitting in the bank.
Welcome to the Plug Talk Podcast, the podcast that gives you real game on the original OPM, Our People Money. And today we have a special conversation about infinite banking and just really about how money works. And today I have a special guest, and she's a licensed realtor. When I met her, it was funny because we had a mix-up with our calendars. It was hard for us to connect, but once we did connect, she really understood the infinite banking concept, and she loved it so much that she wanted to become an infinite banking specialist herself so she could empower her clients from a real estate standpoint so they could build generational wealth from a different standpoint when it comes to money. I'm going to be speaking to Kashane today. How are you doing, Kashane?
I'm doing great. How are you, Jamal?
I'm well.
Awesome.
So let's get into it. So, the reason why I wanted to have the conversation with you is because I really want you to share your story or your journey in regards to money and how money works, because, we always discuss off camera, how you led up to really appreciating the infinite banking concept based upon your trial and error. So I really just wanted you to share your journey on what really made you shift your mindset or really had that aha moment of this is the right way for me to manage my money to build wealth.
Okay. So at a young age, I was probably about 19, and I had opened a whole life policy, which I had no idea of how it worked or how it really worked or how it should work. But I just knew I wanted a policy, right? So I did that at 19, and I didn't know I could fund a policy. Like I said, I didn't know the like how the policy should really work or if it was even set up the right way, right? So at that age, I knew I wanted more for my money, right?
Yeah.
Now, fast forward years later, or even a few years later, when I had I don't remember, I think I had like $10,000, $12,000, and I didn't know what to do with it. So I had it sitting in the bank.
Wait, so,
And
so you was getting a lot of money for a long time. What you saying?
no, I'm not saying I was good with saving money. I was good with saving money. So
Okay.
I would save my money and I had it sitting in the bank. And then sometimes it would go up and then I would dip in it a little bit and then it will go up to like 15,000 and I didn't know what to really do with it. It would just be sitting there in the bank. And if I knew what I knew now, and I put that 10, 12, $15,000 into the whole life policy, had it set up, structured the right way, I would have been Jamal. It would have been amazing for me right now,
Yeah.
But you can't do what you don't know. And I didn't know, so I didn't do that. Now, fast forwarding now, many years later, I was introduced to you and the concept of infinite banking. And after you explained it to me, I totally grasped. And I did see little videos and little clips of other people talking about it and, kind of touching on it a little bit. And then after speaking with you, you kind of explained to me how it worked. I got it right away. And I'm like, wait a minute, that makes sense because Kashane moves with what makes sense, right? If it doesn't make sense, you could tell me 1,000 times. If it doesn't make sense to me, I'm not going to do it. So once, I was introduced to you, I said, you know what, let's do it. After we had our first conversation and you was like, how much can you put in there? And at first I was a little hesitant. I'm like, maybe I'll put this little, and I'm like, wait a minute, I could put all that in just one check. Like, why not? And so I said, I'll set up the meeting with you. And after setting up the meeting, I went all in. I took my money out the bank and took my money out the bank and we opened that policy. And from there on, I've been meeting with you and gaining more knowledge each time we speak. And then I said, if I can borrow from my policy and, you know, after 30 to 45 days, my clients can do the same thing, my real estate clients, that is. And if my clients can borrow from it, and especially if they're going to put that as a down payment on a house, borrow from the policy. I don't know if it's 50, 60, 80, $100,000, because I have clients that put money or even purchase, like I have investors that purchase cash. And if they put that money in the policy and then borrow from the policy, the money's still growing for you. Like it's still growing. So even though you borrowed from the policy and you took it out, it's still growing as if you never touched it. So in my head, that's a no-brainer. Why not? You're investing the money twice. So you invest in it, like, you know, in the policy, and you borrow the money, you invest it also in real estate. That's, to me, was a no-brainer. To me, it was a no-brainer. So I became an internet banking specialist. And not only, you don't have to borrow it just for real estate. You can borrow it for whatever you want to borrow it for. You know, do you have to
Yeah.
borrow the whole 90%? No, you can borrow whatever it is that you want, you know, but the point is that the money's still growing for you and you're not getting what you're getting in a savings account. You're not even getting double or triple that. You're getting way more than what you're getting from, you know, a regular savings account. So why not? It's, to me, it was a no-brainer. So
Yeah.
that's why I decided to not only open my policy, but become an infinite banking specialist to educate people on the things I didn't know when I had some money sitting in the bank. Because I'm sure just like I didn't know, there's a lot of people that's probably a 19-year-old right now, a 20-year-old that still doesn't know, or that doesn't know now that, you know, where to put their money or thinking, what can I do with this money? Or what, I don't care if it's $5,000. I don't care if it's $2,000, you know, but just put that money somewhere where it makes sense.
Wow. Wow. I'm blown away. I must be a good teacher.
You are, you are.
uh, thank you. So one thing you said that I want to touch on is you said it, you keep saying that it clicked for you. It always clicked for you. But what about your mindset that when you hear the concept that it clicks for you? Because it's really a mindset thing. That's the hardest thing to really get people to understand is the mindset shift around money. So what is your mindset around money to where it made sense for you from the initial conversation?
So my mindset has been, and for a very long time now, is that your money should be working for you, and not you working for your money. So you want to put your money somewhere where it's working for you. Like I'm gonna keep saying this, it's a no-brainer. You want to put your money, and then after doing some research, I did my own due diligence as well and learned about the Rockefellers and how they use internet banking with their family and had generation wealth for many years and not just for a certain time. To me, that made sense. And that's why I decided to do that, because why not let your money work for you? And people feel
Okay.
like, and I know a lot of people who feel like they have to work for their money. They have to work for their money. Once they get the money, they spend the money. No, you work for the money. Yes, I'm not saying not to work for your money. Work for your money, but then what do you do with the money after you work for the money? You put the money to then work for you, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that was my mindset.
Yeah. I love having conversations with you because it's like a breath of fresh air because there's no like a fight between understanding how money works. I don't know why
Yeah.
majority of people just they be afraid of having their money work for them. I'm not sure whether it's the idea that they don't have money at all to begin with or something, but I don't know. But you know, the fact that you really grasp the concept, it really just like I'm glad that there's still people like us that really prioritize financial literacy in a real way, you know, and not just
Mhm.
shortcuts and like, you know, trying to do this and backdooring this. And I understand there's a place for that, but still in Noah, to get wealth, you have to do things the right way and set yourself up financially the right way. For me personally, I'm big on like alternative assets away from Wall Street, away from the stock market. And you're a realtor, right? So you're a fan of real estate. So can you basically speak to why do you like real estate? You know, what's your thoughts?
So real estate, it's I love real estate, right? Real estate is a big investment for people. And I often work with first time home buyers as well. So a lot of times they are not knowledgeable of the process and how it works or how huge of a investment it is, right?
Hmm.
Now, Janelle, I had a client that was at the time 19 when I met her. I believe that she had similar mindset like myself and you. At that age, again, age 19, right? At 19, she knew she wanted more for herself. She said to me, Kashane, I want to buy a house and, I want to do I want to purchase multiple properties. Um, I said, okay, not a problem. If you're serious about it, I'm going to need you to trust me and let me lead you. Okay. Fast
Mm.
forward a couple of years later, at 23 years old, I helped her to purchase her first property. Right. And we went through at 23 years old. Yeah, she was working, she was making a little bit of money, but I helped her with some programs, like the first time home buyer program and everything. She bought that first property, which is a multifamily property, with $2,500. That's what she came out of pocket with, $2,500. So now she came out of pocket $2,500, right? Fast forward a few years later, like what, 5, 6 years later? Yeah, it's about 5 years later. Now that same property is paying her mortgage in full and still putting some money in her pocket.
Mm.
That's why I love real estate. That's why I love real
That's
estate. Right now, we're looking to purchase her second property. Right
hmm
now, we're looking to purchase her second property, which will be then now an investment property. So she's living for free. The
mm.
the income from the second unit is paid for her mortgage in full, and it's still putting a little money in her pocket.
Mm.
So now that's why I love real estate. Yes,
Yeah.
I love real estate.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's the concept that I love. It's called velocity of money, and
Mhm.
basically that means that how many jobs can you have your $1 serve you before it goes out of your personal economy? How many times can you make $1 or one asset work for you? So the fact that she have one asset that's giving her a tax write-off, right? Also, it's paying her, also servicing her debt as well too, to where it's working for her, not the other way around. And that's really working smarter and not harder, right? Just like you said, like we definitely got to work hard for money, but working smart is something that's non-negotiable. We have to do that. That's why I love real estate too, is because it's an asset that's like the infinite banking concept, to where you have all this type of tax growth, but it's growing tax free. And then you have that asset, but you borrow from it. So that asset is still growing for you. You still have control of it, but now you can use that debt to go create more cash flow and do the
Right.
same thing. And also, you could also have the death benefit to match your mortgage. So God forbid something happens, the actual property itself is going to get passed down to the next generation free and clear. So that's
Mhm.
why I call it like paper real estate, because it have the same benefits. That's why I think it's a match made in heaven when it comes to infinite banking and real estate. If you know the real power of how to combine both together, and that's
Right.
something that we actually do at our firm. So, yep, that's what it
And
is.
then, just like the policy, just like you can borrow from that, you can borrow from your property as well. You can borrow from your property and then purchase another property if that's what you wish to do, or borrow from the property and then do whatever it is that you want to do. Borrow from the property, open a life insurance policy. you know,
Yeah,
it's literally very similar. It goes hand in hand, just like this. Both concepts. Yes, for
yeah.
sure.
Okay. So there's like a topic on Instagram, and people were saying how like buying a real estate property is one of the dumbest decisions that you could make, right? And I understand the conversation behind it because of the financing aspect of it. Well, what is your thoughts around the average everyday person buying a property? If you think about the average everyday person, how would you tell them to go about buying real estate? Or do you feel like there's a time and place for somebody to buy real estate or not to buy real estate? Which one?
So I always think go and purchase real estate, no matter what people say, right? So, for example, my client right now that purchased at 23. Now, at first, the property wasn't paying everything for her, but 5 years later, now it's paying off the entire mortgage and still putting money in her pocket. So imagine another 5 years from now, what will that be doing for her? Right?
Hmm.
So it's going to always keep growing and growing and growing. The income will always keep growing, right?
Hmm.
So I always think purchase the real estate property. Go ahead, buy real estate, right?
Hmm.
Whatever it is now in the beginning is not what it will be 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. It's going to be growing. It's going to grow. It will grow, right? It will grow. So if you go now and purchase the property, and just like my client, you're paying some of the mortgage, and not only a two family. Imagine if you have a three family, you know what I mean? Or a three family plus a finished basement. Do you know what I mean? Some people purchase a 3-family with a basement. They live in the basement and rent all 3 floors. You
Mhm.
gotta think about that.
Yeah.
That's some real investment right there.
Yeah.
Purchase the property, buy real estate, buy real estate. And I get it. Some people don't believe in that concept, but it's just like, I don't know. I don't know why, but I believe it and I see it for myself. I see it firsthand. You can definitely benefit from that for sure.
Okay.
And then even with infinite banking, people feel like you have to, just like real estate and infinite banking, people feel like you have to have $100,000 to buy your first property. People feel like you have to have 50, 60, 80, $100,000 to invest to open a whole life policy. You
Mhm.
do not. You do not. With real estate, there are different programs, there's different things, there's different ways of investing in your first property that you don't have to come out of pocket that much. Like I said, my clients came out of pocket $2,500.
Yeah.
With a whole life policy, you don't have to come out of pocket $50,000. You can, as long as you can afford a couple of $100 per month, that's all that you need.
Mhm.
Because you can just, it adds up, it grows. Just invest a couple of $100 per month. You don't need a whole lot of money to get started either in real estate or with infinite banking. You don't.
You don't.
That's the misconception a lot of people have.
Yeah, I think a lot of people underestimate the cost of procrastination because
Mhm.
they feel like they're not ready to make a decision where they're gonna acquire an asset or put an infinite banking policy in place. But what they're not understanding is the cost behind you waiting. If you do it now, then everything is gonna work out now because you're gonna have that point where things is not as optimal for you initially, but that comes with any acquisition. That comes with any business startup. Everything is not going to be just a straight line to $1 million. You're going to have to, have an upfront cost, or you're going to have a learning curve. But if you don't go through it, you will never get to the other side of where you see all the benefits of the your money working for you and
Mhm.
having time freedom and having passive income, and just really having a lifestyle you want. So the cost of procrastination is way more expensive than getting a policy started or even buying your first property that you can convert into an investment property and then leverage that money and that same asset multiple times to go increase your portfolio. So I think that's really one thing that our people have to understand. Like don't procrastinate, especially when it's something right. It's gonna be some turbulence, but when you get over it, you're gonna look back and it's gonna be the best decision you ever made, So
And
that's what it is.
if you're lacking knowledge and you don't know, do your own due diligence or
Mhm.
reach out to Jamel or myself.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? Like ask somebody, ask a professional, ask someone in that field,
Mhm.
But as far as not moving forward because you don't know, that's not an excuse. That's not really an excuse these days, right? We have the internet now. When I was younger, I didn't have the resources that we have today. I
Yeah.
didn't have that.
Yeah.
So, now we have Instagram, we have YouTube, these videos, are going around. Reach out, call Janelle, call me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you just want to have a conversation about the infinite banking concept, if you're an investor or if you just want to get started to making your money work for you, you can reach out to us and you can speak to Kashane directly. She's a wealth of knowledge, not just about infinite banking, but real estate investing, to help you with your first property. She can help you in so many different ways. So feel free to reach out to us at any point in time. I'm going to have my link at the bottom in the bio. This is the wrap up to the Plug Talk podcast episode. I forgot what episode I'm on right now. I think this is going to be episode 5 probably. Okay, so this is episode 5 and stay tuned to the Plug Talk podcast. Let's get it.
Yeah.
We make it double up, turn 1 to 2 money. Got new money, got some old money. Green lighting on the business, that's a gold money. Got old money, got some new money.